Today you wanted to talk a little bit about your views on communism, Nate.
Yeah, well, traditionally I've been a communist since my late teens and 20s. My mother raised me to be a socialist. We're a very left-wing family, and I'm still very left-wing. Like, I believe in universal income, and I believe in large universal income, and I believe in workers' rights. You know, workers have rights in the workplace, and they should be paid fair wages, and, things should be set up so that people earn appropriate wages for their work and that workers are respected. People shouldn't be abused in the workplace. I'm still very left wing, but I've thought a lot about communism, and I see some problems with communism. So there are two different parts of communism. There is the political structure, and then there is what's happening in the economy. So first biff with communism is the political structure. Democracy offers an assurance that if the government starts acting out of line or doing inappropriate things, they can be voted out of power every 3 years. So it puts power and choice and control in the hands of the population of the nation to decide who is running their country and to vote out any leadership that isn't doing a good job. Now, and it also gives us variety. I always vote Greens. I vote for the Greens every election. And have done so since my first election many years ago. And democracy gives us variety and gives us multiple parties and a variety of parties representing a diverse range of opinions, which gives me the right to vote for the Greens and say, let's give the Greens a go. And my view is, we've had these two parties for so long. Let's put the Greens in power and see if they do any good. And if they do stuff up because they're inexperienced or just because they make poor decisions that affect the nation negatively, we can vote them out of power. Then at least the Greens have had a go. And if they're not doing a good job, we get rid of them. And we go back to someone else, or we find another minor party and we give them a go. It's about diversity. But in a communist political structure, which is a one-party state, you can't have that. So, you run the risk in communist one-party systems that, the first dictator of the communist state might be a really top bloke. He might be fantastic, and he might be benevolent, have everyone's best wishes in mind, and might have great policies that really help the population. But then he dies, and Stalin takes over, and then all of a sudden it becomes this fascist state, and there's no way to remove the dictator and the party without a violent revolution, because there's no voting system to vote inappropriate leaders out of power. So you get stuck with this lunatic who is mad and runs the country into the ground. So that's the problem with the political structure. I do believe the public has to have the ability to vote government out of power and replace government. Now, about the economy, I'm not an economist. I've studied economics online, but that doesn't mean anything. But basically, as I understand it, in communist economies, the idea would be that the state runs everything, and the state represents the workers. So the workers are the state, and the workers own everything because the state owns everything. But what I think you get in communism is, in communist economies, is you have one clothing line and everybody wears the same clothes. One car company and everybody has the same car. One type of house and everybody lives in the same house. And one brand of cafe where you can go and get coffee and everybody goes to the one cafe. The alternative being the free market gives us variety because individuals can start businesses, so we end up having this variety, this diverse array of ideas coming into society. We have Joe over here who wants to start a cafe that does it this way, so people who like Joe's way of doing things can go and get coffee from Joe. Then you've got Steve over here and he wants to run his cafe this way and use these beans, so if you don't like Joe's beans, you can go and buy Steve's beans. It's variety in the market because individuals can start businesses, so we get a more diverse array of things that we can consume, because we consume things as we go about our life. So free market capitalism gives us a broader array of products to choose from and gives us choice over what we prefer. But what you see in communist states is this one type of everything, as I said before, one type of car, one type of clothing line, one type of house that everybody lives in. So, and the question is, what do you want? And it's rather subjective. Do you want variety in the market? Do you want this diverse array of products that we can consume, or do you want one type of everything controlled by the state? And the other thing is, that's why communist economies struggle, because everything is so limited and restricted, because there's only the state's version of anything. So communist economies can't grow because there aren't businesses popping up around the place starting new initiatives. So communist economies don't generate wealth. See, now wealth is everything. Wealth is having a drum kit. Wealth is having a microwave. Wealth is having a refrigerator. So we want more wealth. We want everybody to have as much material wealth as they can have without destroying the planet, so that people can live the best, most luxurious lives they can. But what we see in communism, because everything is state-run and the economy doesn't expand and doesn't grow, is we see that everybody ends up on rations, because there's only this very limited amount of wealth going around in circulation. So it's like you can have this much, and everybody just gets their basic needs met. Now, some people would argue, and communist thinkers would argue, that people only need their basic needs met, and people should only have their basic needs met, and they would even argue that it's our responsibility to the environment to only have our basic needs met. Now, I disagree with that. I think we want to live in a world where everybody has as much as possible and everybody is as wealthy as possible. We want everybody to live luxurious lives where they have more. As long as we don't destroy the planet, we should have as much as we possibly can, so that we can live enjoyable, meaningful lives. But as I said, because of the limited nature of growth in communist economies, everybody only gets rations. They get rationed out because they seize all the wealth, and it's all distributed equally, and everything just gets rationed out to everyone. So everybody just gets the same, and nobody can have anything more or anything exciting. So it becomes this boring society where everything is the same, and everybody just has the bare minimum to survive. And the economy needs to grow because the population is growing, so we need more wealth to meet the needs of the growing population. So there's numerous reasons why I've decided that communism doesn't work, and those economic reasons I think are valid, but I'm not an expert, so I can't tell you that for sure. But I do think I have decided that we want variety in the market. I think we want to have more wealth in circulation. We want to have more people having as much as possible. Now, I do believe in putting a cap on earnings, and that is to say that the free market can operate and businesses can earn billions of dollars, but I would say any individual earning past $1 billion should pay every cent past $1 billion in tax. Then that goes into the fund to pay for the universal income that everybody gets. But what you've got to understand is we've got to have the private business generating the wealth so that we can tax it and then put it into the universal income. See, capitalist economies generate large amounts of wealth because there's all these private businesses operating. So in capitalism, you have this burst, this explosion of material and monetary wealth, meaning, you have all this technology developed by private developers. So people have refrigerators, they have microwaves, they have air conditioners, all this stuff that makes life so much better than it was thousands of years ago. We need the private businesses to generate that wealth through profit. That's the incentive. So the economy grows so that everybody has more. And then we can say, if you're going to earn over $1 billion a year, you can pay every cent over $1 billion into tax because nobody needs more than $1 billion. Then that can pay for the universal income. So that's my thinking on communist economies and communist political structures, and why I've decided that communism is not a good system, that it doesn't work in practicality, because it also denies that people start initiatives. See, in communism, everything has to be vetted through the state. The state has to approve everything, so nothing happens that the state doesn't approve. And then you get a leadership come in that says, we only want this, and this is all we want, and then no other ideas can blossom and grow. And it's like the perfect example of that is the entertainment business. You see, I don't think the state is going to finance Hollywood, and I love Hollywood. I want to watch big budget motion pictures. I want to watch big budget movies. I want to listen to music recorded in Ace recording studios. So we require wealth to produce that stuff. So the capitalist free market produces the wealth that we then funnel into the arts. And what you will see in communist economies where everything is being rationed out and the state is saying we're only going to do the bare minimum for people to survive, is life won't have Hollywood, life won't have the music business, life won't have all these exciting things. It becomes this very bland, dead society where everyone is prescribed just what they need to survive and nothing further. The other thing about communist thinking that I agree and disagree with at the same time is how far communism can take social responsibility. Obviously, I believe people are responsible to the community and to do what's right for the community. We should all feel responsible to the community. But when, what if the communist state comes in and says to you, okay, you live here. Now, we, the communist state, need you to move to the other side of the country and work there, and you have no choice. So in the free market, we choose our careers. We get to choose what role we want in society to some extent. We try to choose. Things hold us back, but we have that ability to at least strive towards our desired role in society. So I can say, I want to be a musician, I want to be a filmmaker, then I can pursue that goal. But what if the communist state comes in and says, we're really struggling, so we need everybody to go and work in the factories and to work for the state-run companies, and we're only going to produce what the state needs for everyone to have the bare minimum to survive. So you have no choice over where you work or to define your own life or to do what you want in life, to be a musician or an artist, because we need you to work in the factory. So uproot your whole family. This is your social responsibility because the state needs you there. So you're forced to forfeit all choice to define your own life and to do exactly what the state says, because that's how far social responsibility can go. It can go too far, and sometimes you can start taking away rights of choice that should be intrinsic in to everyone to define themselves and to be who they want to be, and everybody has to conform to the will of the state under this argument that it is their responsibility to do exactly what the state says without question, and they have no legal right to challenge that. So that's how social responsibility can go too far, and I think you could say we see that in China. We can see that social responsibility gets taken to mass surveillance and control of individuals, and the justification is social responsibility. Now, before I finish, I just want to say one thing about China. You might make the argument, well, if communist economies struggle to grow and expand, why is China doing so well? Well, it's important to note China has a communist political structure, a one-party system, but the economy is working as a free market because there are private businesses in China and they make billions of dollars, and China has a lower, a middle and a working class. So there is not equal distribution of wealth in the People's Republic of China. It's a communist political structure overseeing a capitalist economy. So you can't make that argument against my argument, because China is not a genuine communist state. It has a capitalist economy. So those are some of the things I've thought about when I've thought about communism, and I still, I believe in the ideals of communism, community and responsibility to the welfare of the community, and I believe, the only thing I've come to realise is it's not so much about redistributing wealth equally. We just want everyone to have heaps of wealth. And if we can create a situation where everybody has heaps of wealth, we have all the things we love, life should be great. And then the only problem is, do we destroy the planet with this excessive consumerism? So that's about managing resources and our effects on the environment. So I don't want to redistribute wealth equally anymore. I just want to pay everyone universal income, and I want everyone to be super rich and to have robots and technology and all this stuff that the free market generates through economic growth. So anyway, there's some ideas about communism which I've considered over the last few years.